The Cubs hammer the National League leading Phillies with a 10-4 win the day after they clinched the National League East. We're going to talk about that. We're going to reflect on Justin Steele's season, which ended yesterday after a 4-inning start. That and more on this edition of the Cubs Baseball Channel. Make sure to like and subscribe, get in that comment section, and keep talking about some Cubs baseball. And here is your invitation to our show where we're going to talk some Cubs baseball. Here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Cubs Baseball Channel. My name is Anthony Pasquale. That is Mick Gillespie on the right of your screen. He is on Twitter at Broadcaster Mick, and you can find me at Ant_Pasquale3. You can also find our channel on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, so make sure to follow us on there. We're going to be posting some fun off-season content as well as a seasonal wrap-up at the end of this week. But, Mick, I don't want to overreact to it. Obviously, the Cubs are not in the playoffs, and the Phillies team was probably all hungover yesterday, but the Cubs get a win over a really good baseball team, 10-4 yesterday, and that's always a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to play out the string, and I guess it's not really about being a spoiler anymore because the Phillies, are in, but it was good to see. I mean, like Cody Bellinger doing his thing. He's it was a difference maker in that game last night, and I think you got to play out the string, and you got to try to get over 500. Which now we know that at least they're going to have a record that's over 500, and it was a good win.
Yeah, the Cubs won their 81st game of the season yesterday, which at least means they will not be below 500 this season. One more win in their next 4 games means that they'll have a winning record. Obviously, eliminated from playoff contention, so nothing to get too excited about. But at the bare minimum, back-to-back winning seasons, which, again, we're not going to freak out about it because we want to be playing in October. But they're going to be over 500 this season. Yesterday, the runs came in bunches, 6 runs in the second inning and 4 runs in the 6th. Almost the entire lineup was a big factor. Nico Hoerner and Cody Bellinger each had 3 hits. Bellinger knocked in 4 runs, 3 of them on a bases clearing triple. Seiya Suzuki was 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a walk before he exited the game with a sprained ankle. More on that in just a little bit. Crow-Armstrong and Miguel Amaya and Dansby Swanson each had a pair of hits as well. So the Cubs offense was able to get a lot going, 15 hits and 4 walks. So quite a bit of base runners in the ball game, only struck out 9 times. Patrick Wisdom came in Seiya Suzuki's absence, and then Michael Busch also exited with a very early injury as well. So haven't heard much about Busch's injury, but we did hear that Seiya's was a sprained ankle. He looked okay. If it really mattered, I'm sure he would have been back out there, but it made sense to pull him, don't you think?
Well, I mean, you hope so. I mean, this has kind of been the theme of this team. With a lot of injuries
Right.
from the very beginning. That they got off to a great start, and then it was one injury after another injury after another injury, and it really kind of sucked the life out of the season. So you hope that he's all right. I know he plays the game hard, and you respect that. Seiya's had a really good statistical season offensively. His defense is something that we all kind of know isn't good enough on a daily basis for a team that's going to win a championship, you feel like, but I mean, the bat's great. And I mean, at this point, you're talking about what, 4 games left. So, I mean, okay, if you can play, and if you can't, throw somebody else in there.
Yeah, exactly. And Bellinger, like you said, 3 hits, 4 RBI. You wonder if he's still making a push to kind of improve his, I guess, his stock if he were to choose to opt out. I think he's still technically playing for that, but he knows he has, I think, $27 million it'll be if he decides to opt in, which I think we're all leaning toward that being what he is going to do. There's so many different factors that'll trickle down from that decision. It could either free up $30 million for the Cubs, or it could really hamstring them on opportunities to get their prospects to the big league. So that'll be a big thing to watch out for over the next couple of weeks as well, especially once the season ends. But speaking of seasons ending, Justin Steele got to start yesterday, and just based on the amount of days left in the season, looks like that'll be his last outing of the season. So he pitched 4 innings, still on a little bit of a pitch count coming back from that left elbow injury. So he only pitched 4 innings, allowed 4 hits, no walks, struck out 3, and allowed 2 runs to come in to score. He finishes his season 5-5 record with a 3.07 ERA. I believe that's 5th ranked among left-handed pitchers in the MLB this season, and I think 3rd in the National League, both behind Shota Imanaga. So the Cubs have a really strong left-handed 1-2 punch in that rotation, but I'm sure Steele would like this season to go a little bit differently. Didn't get his first win until late May, or late June, I should say. Got injured on opening day in his first career opening day start, but still turned in a 3.07 ERA at the end of it, which is pretty strong.
Well, I mean, he's the difference between the Cubs making the playoffs and the Cubs not, and it's the injuries. Because if we could have gotten a season of him being healthy like we had last year, you couple that with Imanaga, and now all of a sudden you're talking about a team that is over that 90 win threshold, and they're in the playoff mix. They're right there with the Phillies, the Padres, the Braves, the Mets. I mean, they're in the mix, instead of being the team that's you see them there, but they're way back. His biggest issue has always been the health, and he put a lot of time in to get strong, but he just had some bad luck. And that's part of baseball, from the very beginning. Like, you remember spring training, get hit by the bouncing ball, his last start. Mm-hmm. And then he gets hurt, like his first real start, trying to field that bunt. And then from there on, it was kind of like a spiral of bad health. But in this game, you got to be healthy. And so when he's healthy, he's really good. And then the issue is, can he stay healthy, and can he stay healthy for an entire season? He did that last year, not this year, but I love the guy. I think he's a great person. And I say that a lot, but I mean, when these guys, that matters, and I don't feel like that about everybody, but I really like him. I mean, just great baseball guy, loves the game, loves talking about the game. He's not too big to if you ran into him to give you an autograph. He's just a really good dude, and I wish him the best every time he goes out and pitches. So it was good to see him, do his thing. But when I look back at the season, him being healthy could have been the difference between, when you're just basically rolling out the last few games to finish it, or, you're going into the playoffs with a chance to do some damage.
Yeah, and you think about it, his 3.06 ERA last year was good enough for 4th in the Cy Young voting. So, that ERA is good enough to be one of the best in the league. The problem is he had 11 more wins last year, and that's, he made 6 more starts, but the Cubs offense gave him a little bit more support too. But you think if he stays healthy all season long and he doesn't have to make, 4 of his 26 starts be like 3 or 4 innings because he's working himself back up, you could probably count about, 6 or 7 more wins the Cubs would have had. And then boom, you're right there. And then throw in some of the blown saves and you're looking at a division even. And that's just one of the things that you hope building toward the future. You either stay healthy or have enough depth to withstand some injury. So we'll see if the Cubs can keep building that. But like you said, the win yesterday puts the Cubs 4 games over 500 with 4 games to play. And it officially means they will not finish below 500 for the season, which again isn't anything super exciting, but it's better than finishing below 500.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, it does matter. I mean, we're going to look back. It's going to be another forgettable season. But as a Cubs fan for my entire life, we've had a lot of these. I mean, let's be honest. We've had a lot of forgettable seasons, and this is definitely one of them. I look back at this campaign, and I know we'll kind of be reflecting on it over the next, I don't know, off season and everything else. But this season is disappointing because I feel like there was the squad to really do some good things, and it just didn't happen. Some bad luck, the bullpen, and when you're a big market team and you don't make the playoffs, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. So I know that's something that we'll be keeping an eye on too. I've said it before, and I'll be shocked if there aren't some major changes made. And I'm not hoping that anyone gets fired. I'm not pulling for that. but it's been 4 years now where you haven't gotten it done. And really, I mean, honestly, I mean, since when's the last time the Cubs really had a chance to win the World Series where you look back and go, hey, man, this team's got a chance? Didn't feel like that this year, last year, the year before that. So that should be the goal for the team every year. Now, we knew there was going to be a transition with the trades of some of the marquee players, the Chris Bryants and the Javi Baez, and those turned out to be great trades because those guys haven't produced at all. Even Anthony Rizzo, as much as we love him, and then Kyle Hendricks is like the last guy, and he's not going to be on the roster next year. So there's going to be nobody left from 2016, but that's going to be 2025. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, it's not like it's 2018, So, and you're not winning anymore. You're not winning. Like being over 500 is great, but it's not making the playoffs this year, and that should be the goal.
Yeah, you're going to finish sure with a winning record, but it's going to be like the 15th best record in baseball, and that's simply not good enough. But the Cubs finished their series against the Phillies today at 5:05 Central Time. It'll be Javier Assad on the mound for the Cubs, 7-5 on the year with a 3.34 earned run average up against Christopher Sanchez, who's behind Zach Wheeler and Ranger Suarez and Aaron Nola in that rotation, but quietly putting together a really strong year. He's 11-9 with a 3.25. He was one of the Phillies' 7, I think, All-Stars this year. So the Cubs have their work cut out for him tomorrow if they're going to try to win this series at Citizens Bank Park. I know the Phillies are probably getting ready for October that's approaching, but the Cubs have some decent numbers against Sanchez. Happ has a homer against him. Paredes has a homer against him. So maybe the Cubs can come away out of Philadelphia with a series win. What do you think?
That'd be great. It would be great. I mean, you would be. I'd like any series win. I mean, is there any significance to it? No, but it would be great. I mean, enjoy watching this team win games. So let's get it done, man. Like, let's win this one. Let's go and let's sweep the Reds. Let's finish this thing with a little bit of momentum. Look, I'm pulling for the Phillies because they got Schwartz on them. I'm just telling you that right now. It's like one of the teams I'm pulling for in the postseason because I love Schwartz.
Yeah, I think seeing Rizzo win again would be cool.
Yeah,
rooting for Kyle to win his first or his second, obviously. So there's definitely some former Cubs to keep your eyes on in the playoffs as well. I guess what these last few games matter the most for is bettors who took the over or under on 83.5 wins for the Cubs, because that's what the line was at. And now with 4 games to go, the Cubs are two games away from either going over or under. So if anybody in the comment section is sweating out that ticket, we're pulling for you guys as well. But
you're pulling for them. I mean, this was almost a replay of last year.
Yeah, it really was.
Except last year was just a little more exciting because the Cubs were in it and tanked at the end. I like Craig Counsell. Look, I do. I like Craig Counsell as a manager better than David Ross. I do. But I'm still puzzled that the Cubs didn't take the opportunity to break in some of these young players that they're going to need at the end of the season. And I don't understand why. I think that you're always trying to improve. But I guess the other part of this is that you've got all these guys signed. So you're bringing this exact same team back again next year that won 80 some games and didn't make the playoffs. And that's the question that you have to ask yourself if you're, in the Cubs front office. I mean, is that good enough? Or what are you going to do to get over the hump? What's the thing that you're going to do? Because it just didn't feel like there was enough done with the pitching last year to get them over the threshold. And I know they had some injuries and all that stuff, but you know what? That there's no excuses when it comes to a baseball season. I mean, like the Phillies had a lot of injuries, and look where they're at right now.
Yeah,
the Yankees had injuries, like the Brewers had injuries, like everybody has injuries. You still have to be able to win without them, and they didn't. And
yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing that's frustrating to me is knowing that in terms of contracts that you're rolling out essentially the same team come opening day next year if you don't make any trades. Why would you not at least for 2 weeks or 3 weeks bring up some of these guys to see what they could do for this team? Maybe they're going to struggle for 3 weeks, but then they get those struggles out of the way. You know what I mean? Like any major league at bats for Owen Casey or Matt Shaw or James Triantos would be beneficial. And that's
Well, they would have been. Yeah. And they're not going to get them.
And they're not going to get them. And that's what's frustrating, because next year, when hopefully you are trying to make a playoff push and you are trying to win that division, maybe you can't afford to give Triantos or Shaw or Casey 3 weeks to struggle. But you could have afforded it this year and you decided not to. So that's frustrating to me. But hopefully those guys are as major league ready as they seem, and force the Cubs to put them into the roster. We'll just have to keep our eyes on that and all the other moving parts this offseason. But guys, thanks so much for joining us here on the Cubs Baseball channel. Mick and I always appreciate all the love, all the likes, subscriptions in the comment section, and all the follows on the other social media platforms as well. But for now, we will talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Cubs.
Go Cubs.